What's good, guys? How's everybody doing today? What a performance by Michigan today. Michigan beats Penn State. Cade McNamara has a huge game. Really converts late in the game to win. Just a great win for Michigan over Penn State. And James Franklin, I mean, he's lost 3 straight games. Illinois, Ohio State, now Michigan. They're 6-3. They're going to lose to Michigan State. I don't know why USC would hire him. He's not even that good of an in-game coach. His play calling is not that innovative. He's a good recruiter, decent recruiter. They have good defense at Penn State, but at the same time, you know, the type of athletes that they're getting at Penn State, I mean, I even think Dave Aranda is really legit as a head coach at Baylor. He has that place rocking. He should probably stay at Baylor for the long while. Dave Aranda should. But you look at college today, Mike Leach was unbelievable. Will Rogers, I mean, down, you know, what was it, 28-3, and for them to win, what's up, Brandon? For them to win, it was just an incredible feat by Mississippi State that they went into the Plains at Auburn and they were able to win. So just incredible stuff from Auburn or from Mississippi State to go into Auburn down 28-3, and that air raid offense, I mean, they really spread you out. You can't really play man against it, and the protection is so great, and they're really figuring it out, innovative ways to attack, you know, this rush 3, drop 3, or drop 8 scheme. And in college football with these margins, somehow Mike Leach is recruiting to his ability. You know, Will Rogers is really accurate with the ball, and they're really repping it to death, and their offense has been rolling lately. I mean, against Arkansas, their offense played really well. LSU, they were kind of still like figuring it out. But who else did Mississippi State beat? I mean, they beat Texas A&M, had really good offense against A&M, and it's just like a real curveball that teams have to face. You know, they were able to beat Vanderbilt. They beat Kentucky at home. So Will Rogers and this offense is really good. You know, Oklahoma, it's weird. You know, their defense like really stepped up, but they didn't have the ability to really run the football today. You know, I still think that Caleb Williams can be a really good college quarterback. You know, he is a little bit smaller. He does make erratic decisions, but he'll also make hero plays at the same time. I mean, they are recruiting this kid at, you know, Nelson out in California. That's a really good quarterback. But I like Williams. He's all right. I mean, Rattler's also not that tall. You know, I'd say Williams is maybe 5'11", and Rattler's like 6'1". You know, Rattler, he could still play at a decent level at college, and you'd want to see Rattler you'd want to see Rattler go to a situation where he can use heavy play action. They can roll him across the field. And I think Rattler, I mean, I think he's favored to go to Ole Miss or LSU next year. So that would be really exciting for Spencer Rattler. So we have A&M and Ole Miss tonight. That's going to be great. Ohio State looks so good. I mean, Travion Henderson, what they're doing, they're a good Purdue team that just beat Nebraska, beat Michigan State. You know, Purdue is they're a dangerous team. I think Purdue also beat somebody else. I don't know if it was Wisconsin or who Purdue was able to beat. They beat Michigan State, though. But now Peyton Thorne is balling, and I don't want to see Mel Tucker leave Michigan State. I love Mel Tucker at Michigan State. If I was going to choose one coach that I'd love to see go to LSU, it would maybe be Jimbo Fisher, just because like A&M, I'm kind of a little tired of A&M, and it would be kind of fun to see Jimbo go to, it would really be fun to see Jimbo go to LSU. They're also, you know, trying to get Lincoln Riley. I doubt that that's going to happen, but Mel Tucker, He's just starting to build this thing at Michigan State. He's got an extension there. It seems like he likes playing physical Big Ten football. And when you're in, by the way, when you're in the SEC, now you're in the SEC West, you add Texas and Oklahoma to the mix, it's going to make it even so much more challenging. Even though your recruiting is really good at LSU, it's going to be an even more challenging job than maybe even the SEC East or certainly Michigan State. And Michigan State is really in that Big Ten. You know, you got Michigan, you got your friends all around the Big Ten like Northwestern, Michigan, Minnesota, Penn State, Ohio State. You're really in that fabric. You have a clear place of belonging. You're LSU. You got all this conference realignment. You have all the expectation of winning national championships. And at Michigan State, they absolutely love you. So, you know, I love Mel at Michigan State. You know, it's obviously up to him what he wants to do. But I love like the innovation on offense that they're starting to really open it up for Peyton Fournier, Kenneth Walker, and I really like this Michigan State team. Indiana just had one good year in the COVID year. I mean, last year you could pretty much throw out training camp and throw out the results. Tom Allen is a complete joke now. You know, Rutgers is absolutely took them to the woodshed. Indiana football back to sucking. Like, Indiana football is almost back to where Kansas football was. Iowa State and Matt Campbell. I mean, now Matt Campbell, this is like your last-ditch effort if you want to go to LSU, because your stock, I mean, his stock was as high as it's ever been last year. And now Matt Campbell is going to go back down towards like an 8-4 style season, where even Kansas State is quietly at 7-3, quietly bowl eligible. Kansas State just doing their own thing as well. Iowa, Minnesota's another good game in the Big Ten West. I think PJ Fleck, it'll be interesting to see if Fleck wants to stay at Minnesota or if he wants to continue that at Minnesota. I mean, this is going to be a really fun game. Minnesota has more upward trajectory than I think Iowa does. Kansas State's just always going to be solid, always going to be 8-4, 7-5, 9-3, 9-3 on the high end. That's where they're always going to be. And I guess like that's pretty good if you're a fan of them, because you always can win. But at the same time, like, you're never going to hit that lightning in a bottle, a complete beast of a champion, because Kansas State, they're probably not even going to go to Texas, and they're probably not even going to beat Texas, because they're never more talented than Oklahoma State than Texas. But overall, today was a wild day. It was wild with Auburn being up 28-3 on Mississippi State, and Will Rogers and this offense and just this rhythm-based offense, and they barely run the ball at all. And seeing that a throwing offense like Mike Leach can work in the most physical conference, in the most physical subdivision. This year, Mississippi State beats Texas A&M. They beat Auburn. Last year, they beat LSU. They were close to beating LSU this year. They should have beaten Memphis. That's the one game that really, you know, Mississippi State fans are really upset about. Then whatever games did they lose? But Mississippi State, you know, they were fortunate to beat La Tech. It's just been such an up and down sort of year, but incredible mental toughness by Mississippi State. Then they have an easy game against at Southeast Louisiana next week before they play the Egg Bowl. And it's going to be a great Egg Bowl in Starkville. Actually, I'm not even sure if it's in Starkville or not. It might be at Ole Miss. But this Egg Bowl is going to be tremendously exciting. I actually think it's in Starkville, Mississippi, the Egg Bowl, and it's going to go a long way for Mike Leach if he can win this game. Georgia looks really good. Yeah, what's up? Oh, I can't wait for Texas, and I can't wait for Ole Miss. That Ravens-Dolphins game, I think really, like, you're seeing with this year, like an MH, thanks for coming into the chat. You're seeing this year with the 17-game regular season that teams just like don't get up for certain games, and you're seeing more inconsistency because it's such a marathon sort of season. You're seeing crazy results. I do think that defenses now, because the personnel of defenses, you're getting like a smaller defender that's able to come into the National Football League now. So kind of the archaic, like bigger linebackers are kind of leaving the game, and these defensive coaches are really studying and kind of catching up on Josh Allen. They're catching up on Mahomes. And kind of like Tom Allen in Indiana football, it's possible Josh Allen really benefited from the coronavirus. He never had the virus, but the virus kept all the fans out of the stadium. And you think about Josh Allen, and he's playing a lot like year 2 Josh Allen. You know, he's very inconsistent. They're still scoring points, but they're playing like awful competition. And the thing is with Josh Allen, he is not really having the type of season that Buffalo would expect. And with Stephon Diggs, he's such a primary number 1 target that a lot of times he's just locking into that number 1 target instead of spreading the ball. Lamar Jackson, I'm still not that worried about. I mean, being a fan of the New York Giants, how could you ever insult Lamar Jackson? I mean, the team is 6-3. They're still way over 500, winning double their games. You know, Lamar Jackson has come back against the Colts. He came back against Minnesota. Their defense hasn't been the same old Baltimore defense, but as the weather gets colder, Baltimore will turn into that running team. But Lamar Jackson is not really running as much. And Miami, their game plan was really impressive. They blitzed Lamar Jackson. They didn't play scared. So many other teams play really scared of Lamar Jackson, and the Miami Dolphins did not do that. They blitzed him, and that's really, really interesting. It's really, really interesting. Octavius, yeah, I mean, the Tennessee Titans, they're playing great, and you always think that Tennessee, Derrick Henry goes down, Arthur Smith leaves, Julio Jones not doing that much. You think Tennessee's going to eventually, you think that they're eventually going to head back down the earth with Mike Vrabel being a Patriot disciple, and seeing how all the Patriots disciples always fail at the NFL level, or a lot of them do fail. They lose their offensive coordinator, they change defensive coordinators, and it was really an incredible game plan by Tennessee, and the Titans are now number 1. I'm not really believing, Octavius, that they're a threat to win the AFC, even though right now they're right up there in the standings right now. So Tennessee's going to have to keep proving me wrong. It sucks what happens to a good guy in Robert Woods, you know, a true professional, a guy who's bounced around the NFL, was in Buffalo for a long time, got around McVay, had so many really good seasons, and he's kind of an older wide receiver. I think he's pushing 30. But to hear about Woods going down, I mean, that really, really sucks for the Rams and for Robert Woods, of course. That's going to be a really tough injury for them to overcome, as they're going to get now Beckham into the mix probably next week. But Woods is a really good receiver, and Van Jefferson's going to have to play a lot better for the Rams. But Stafford has never won anything, and he showed last week why he isn't that good. The Cardinals, I don't really think anybody in the West is really a threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out there in the South. The Dallas Cowboys, tomorrow's a huge game, Cowboys versus Falcons. Arthur Smith is pulling games out in the final minute of these ball games. I mean, what a great win for him at Miami. Then he beat New Orleans on the road, beat the Giants. Whatever win did Arthur win? I mean, he's never won a home game. He's always won road games. That's what Arthur does. All right, Arthur wins road games. But listen, college football, Jim Harbaugh is a beast. Winning games, tough wins. James Franklin sucks as a play caller. He's not a very good play caller at all. Terrible short yardage situations. They can't really run it that well. Aranda is tremendous. He schooled Lincoln Riley again. If you're Lincoln, do you really go to LSU? You maybe should, because your defense would then be unbelievable and you can implement better running back play. How much better are you going to get at Oklahoma before fans start wanting more? That's something that remains to be seen, and Lincoln can make $10 million on the bayou of LSU. But now, can Lincoln, does he really want to recruit defense down at LSU? Maybe. I think Alex Grinch, what he's done with this defense is tremendous. You know, Mike Leach has really, really good offense. You really, when a team is blitzing you, you have to come up with screens and you have to play physical football in the middle of the field. And you're absolutely right that they need to be a downhill running game. You're right. You got to throw it over their head if they're going to blitz, if they're going to go zero. But that's where, you know, you need a jump ball receiver to make a play. And I don't know if Prochet is healthy or not. I mean, Hollywood's a little smaller. That's why you got a Bateman on the outside. He's going to have to box out, but it's tough for a rookie to do that. But you're absolutely right. Lamar Jackson's focusing on intermediate, but you're right. You got to burn them over the top, and they haven't been going over the top because defenses are dropping cover 2 on the Ravens all the time. That eventually you have to change your game plan up. You have to change it up quickly. But listen, Brian Flores can coach defense. The New England coaches, the one thing about them is they can come up with schemes that are going to attack your weaknesses. And also the personnel, they have Xavier Howard. They have another elite cornerback. I think they have Byron Jones and X-Man Howard. I mean, the Dolphins' personnel on defense is really, really, really good. But anyway, guys, this was fun chatting. Again, Michigan, Cade McNamara, all he does is win games. I mean, what a year from Michigan. They're going to be playing Ohio State at the Big House. That's going to be really tough. I'll give you my 4 playoff teams right now. Number 1 is Georgia. Definitely number 1. The second team that I'd rate in the college football playoff, Ohio State. Ohio State, what they're doing to a really good Purdue team, Trayvon Henderson, C.J. Stroud hitting his stride. I would say that Ohio State right now would be my pick to win, because I don't know if the mailman, when Stetson Bennett or JT Daniels goes against Ohio State, that's when it's going to get really dicey. I think that there's a chance that Auburn can beat Alabama at home. As crazy as that sounds, I think that Bo Nix can win that Iron Bowl over Alabama. So that's going to leave then another team coming in there. I'm going to take an undefeated Cincinnati and put them at number 3. And then that leads us to our 4th team. You then have Oklahoma. You have Oregon. Can Oregon stay undefeated? Right now, Oregon is still undefeated. But I think there's a chance that Oregon goes down. And then you're looking at Oklahoma. You're looking at Oregon. You're looking at a lot of teams that aren't very good. You know, then you have Mississippi State and Texas A&M. If Texas A&M can beat Mississippi tonight, I think that Texas A&M, they could be playing in the SEC championship game. Texas A&M, even a 3-loss A&M or a 2-loss Oklahoma, whatever, it's going to be really interesting. You're going to have to see. Michigan State's going to be there, but right now, the teams that are in the driver's seat are the Cincinnati Bearcats, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and of course, the Georgia Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are in. Cincy is in if they go undefeated. So they're the 2 teams that are in, is Cincy and Georgia. Ohio State is probably going to be in the dance. Then you're going to have 2-loss Michigan State. It really depends how Michigan State plays Oklahoma. A&M is still right there on the cusp of trying to win. A&M. If A&M can be a 2-loss team, they could possibly win the SEC championship. Or even if Alabama, then it's Alabama. I mean, if Alabama, they have 1 loss to A&M, That's going to be really interesting to see what happens if Bama makes the playoff and then Georgia dismantles Bama. But then Bama's going to be a 2-loss team. A&M goes to Ole Miss. Oh, man. I don't really want Matt Corral and the Giants at all, MH, to be honest. I want Carson Strong of Nevada, or I would even take Malik Willis. I want Carson Strong of Nevada on the Giants, but I also want Kyle Shanahan, and I want Chris Sims being the GM for the Giants. Because the 49ers, if they get rid of Kyle Shanahan can still coach offense. The offense is still good there. He led Atlanta to a Super Bowl. He knows West Coast offense. He knows how to run the football. He knows how to do motion offense. I would be really excited if I were the Giants in getting Kyle Shanahan, and also I would maybe get Kirk Cousins, maybe look at Derek Carr. There's a bunch of quarterbacks that you can get that you can bring into the Shanahan system. You could go get Jimmy Garoppolo. You could then go get guys to replace Daniel Jones. I think that Chris Sims, too, his connection with his father, Phil Sims, I think Chris Sims would be a great hire as a GM. I mean, you've seen guys like John Lynch, Mike Mayock go into being a GM. I think that Chris Sims, he worked for the Patriots. He got Lamar Jackson correct. He got Patrick Mahomes right. He gets a lot of wide receivers and quarterbacks correct. He's a really good evaluator. I like Chris Sims. And then you compare that with his father, the connection that Chris Sims has for the New York Giants. I think that that's what I would do, because the Giants are the most boring team in the National Football League. But listen, I'm so excited for Giants football, and I'm so excited for tomorrow. Mac Jones versus the Browns. Mike White versus the Buffalo Bills. There are some big-time games in the National Football League tomorrow. But this was College Football Recap. See y'all later.